So you know the small FPS franchise Borderlands, right? Yeah, me neither. They're like small indie games based around having like 10 different guns or something, I don't know. Only fucking joshing with you. Of course, we all know the massive Borderlands franchise for their quote on the back of the game box literally being, "We have like 14 bazillion fuck tons of guns, fuck you, we know what you want, can I have your money now please?" And whilst you can certainly try to use all 17 sextillion pew-pew machines, I bid you good fucking luck, my friend. So, while I can't show you literally every gun in the game, because, come on guys, I have a funeral to get to in about 70 years, I can show you and tell you about the mother lovers who make these shiny pieces of equipment we use to shoot, loot, effortlessly murder, and commit war crimes against the solar systems with. So, today we are talking about the legendary, the unmatched, sometimes morally questionable manufacturers of the Borderlands franchise. Get your asses ready and grab a coffee or a nice glass of water if you haven't already. Also, if you're only interested in one game in particular and don't want to watch through this entire fucking video because it is quite long, you can use the YouTube timestamps indicator to skip to any of these. I'll also put them on screen here, but just skip to ones that you want to watch and enjoy. Borderlands 1. There are 12 official manufacturers in Borderlands 1, each with their own characteristics and trademarks. The manufacturers produce all of the offensive and defensive equipment encountered through the game, except Brick's hands. They are literally produced by eating 300 grams of protein every day for 26 years.
Hell yeah!
The primary producers of the equipment encountered on Pandora produce literally fucking everything, from weapons to grenade mods to class mods to shields, and they were all as follows. Atlas, above average damage and magazine capacity. Appearance, white, with more black detailing at higher material grades. Marcus describes Atlas as being guns that excel in every area, and if you wanted to feel what it was like to have the power of gods in your hands, you bought an Atlas. Before the fall of the corporation, they were considered the best manufacturer lore-wise on the planet. DAHL, high recoil reduction at the cost of accuracy. Appearance, various camouflage patterns differing across material grades. Marcus, coming in hard with the descriptions again, says these weapons are extremely heavy but highly accurate, especially over a longer range, to compensate for the sheer heft of these chonky boys. Eridian, alien weaponry, deals generally high damage with unlimited ammunition but often suffers from slow recharge. Appearance, organic, easily distinguished from normal weapons. These are mad because they're essentially energy weapons from Halo, but after a 4-day bender of coke, Red Bull and no sleep. They hit like a truck, but seemingly died after the first game. I mean, as someone who had been fueled entirely from coke for 4 days straight would. RIP Eridian weapons. They did come back in later games, but only as relics with mysterious power for whoever wields them. Hyperion. Very high recoil reduction and accuracy. Appearance. Varying shades of red, darker, and more metallic at higher material grades. In the words of our wise Lord Marcus, what good is a gun that doesn't shoot where you point? Exactly, boss. As well as having the same fundamentals throughout pretty much every single game of gun go burr, but more burr go where you aim after a few seconds. They stick to what they do best, and also don't feel as morally challenged when you use them in Borderlands 1, as they aren't the bad guys in this one. I don't know, supporting the company that's trying to get you killed is a bit of a rebel alliance, no number one, but in the first game, no more repercussions, yay. Jakobs. Never manufactures elemental weapons, very high damage but low fire rate and reload speed. Appearance. Orange and brown, with wooden gloss finishes at higher material grades. Not much to say about Jakobs really, you know the deal. Wild West, shooty, big iron on his hip, etc, etc. Maliwan. Only manufactures elemental weapons which have much higher attack regeneration rates. Also benefits from marginal increases to accuracy and reload speed. Appearance. Hues of blue, brighter colours at material grades. As Marcus so perfectly puts it, is shooting bullets just not enough for you? Get a Maliwan and light some people on fire. Yeah, that pretty much sums up Maliwan to a T. Until Borderlands 3, not much was really known about the actual corporation of Maliwan, apart from the fact that they are possibly the coolest looking rare weapons in the franchise Fight Me, and that they were also basically the opposite of Jakobs in weapons design and use. S&S Munitions. Very high magazine capacity, usually manufactures elemental weapons. Appearance, yellow and black, more contrast at higher material grades. The only weapons manufacturer to never appear in any game after Borderlands 1. They went bust after the other rich gun companies basically outsold them into bankruptcy. However, S&S would later become what we now know today as Bandit, Scav and COV weapons. Lore-wise, it's kinda unknown, but from a shooty perspective, they all filled the same role that S&S left behind. Can't hate them more. Oh wait, sorry, I meant Tediore. Extremely fast reload speed, with a slight compromise on damage and accuracy. Appearance, matte grey, lighter grey to beige at higher material grades. Tediore is basically the working man's gun. Very light, very fast reloads, and extremely nimble. Fortunately, in the first game, they hadn't come up with the fucking insane throw weapon at enemy, weapon go boom, weapon magically teleport into your hands, fully armed again idea. So I imagine they made a metric fuck ton of money during the first game, and spent half of it on the reload tech stuff, and the other half on very hard drugs. Torgue. High damage and slightly higher fire rate, but suffers from much lower accuracy and recoil reduction. Appearance, dark grey to black, darker and more metallic at higher material grades. Before the days of making literal exploding micro missiles that come out of your gun, Torgue was seemingly a sane company that prided themselves with the philosophy of, if I don't kill the enemy in 2 bullets, I don't kill him at all. Which honestly still makes me believe Mr. Torgue was the brains of the operation still. Sounds like something he would do. They were more grounded with their gimmick in later games. Torgue, more than any company apart from maybe Tediore, rarely shows how much the manufacturers would be distinguished from one another in later titles. And finally, Vladof. Very high fire rate, good recoil reduction, but suffers from much lower accuracy. Appearance, orange and black, more contrast at higher material grades. The definition of, if I can't not kill them in 200 bullets a second fucking off downrange, they are essentially the opposite to Torgue in this game, offering a storm of lead to hail in your opponent's direction. You see what I did there? And you know, if they are the opposite of Torgue, the other games really changed up the style of the weapons. In the wise words of Vladof themselves, you don't need to be a better shot, you just need to shoot more bullets. I don't know why I said that in American accents. You're probably saying, if you don't need to be a better shot, you just need to shoot more bullets. That's probably, but I don't really know. Now, like later games, Borderlands 1 also introduced the fact that most manufacturers would not actually make each type of weapon. They would all specialise in specific things, more than others. For example, while Jakobs would only produce 3 different types of weapons, Hyperion would produce 7. Also in Borderlands 1, they had a lot different types of weapons. See, in Borderlands 2, you've got your shotgun, you've got your pistol, your sniper, all conglomerated into one type of weapon. But in this game, they have a lot different types of each weapon. For example, they've got an assault shotgun and a combat shotgun. They've got a pistol, both repeater and machine pistol, as well as having semi-automatic sniper rifles and pump-action sniper rifles. So just take that into account when I'm listing which manufacturer covers which one. So let's cover it. So Atlas, even though they had the best types of weapons according to the law, only produced 5. Combat shotguns, machine guns, repeater pistols, revolvers, and pump-action sniper rifles. DAHL produced a few more. They produced combat rifles, combat shotguns, repeater pistols, revolvers, semi-automatic sniper rifles, and submachine guns. Hyperion covered the most out of all the manufacturers, covering 7 as I mentioned before. The assault shotgun, combat rifle, machine pistol and repeater pistol, as well as the rocket launcher, semi-automatic sniper rifle and the submachine gun. Jakobs only cover 3, being the combat shotgun, revolver and the pump action sniper rifle. This is kind of on brand though, I mean think about it, revolver, bow now now now, I'm gonna stop. Maliwan do quite a few as well. They've got the assault shotgun, repeater pistol, revolver, rocket launcher, pump action sniper rifle and submachine gun. S&S Munitions use the assault shotgun, machine gun, machine pistol, repeater pistol and the semi-automatic sniper rifle. Tediore only produce 5. The combat rifle, combat shotgun, repeater pistol, revolver and the submachine gun. Torgue are very similar to Hyperion in the fact that they cover 7. Combat shotgun, machine gun, repeater pistol, rocket launcher, semi-automatic sniper rifle, and the submachine gun. That's 6. Oh fuck. What are you gonna do, sue me? Fuck you man, game came out like 15 years ago. Vladof do the assault shotgun, the machine gun, the machine pistol, the repeater pistol, the rocket launcher, and the pump action sniper rifle. And that covers every single manufacturer and every single gun they make. Quite useless information, but it's also interesting to see that not every single manufacturer produces every single type of weapon. It would be actually a hell of a lot harder for them to make every single manufacturer produce every single type of weapon, but not even from a gameplay perspective, just think about it from a lore perspective. As I mentioned with Jakobs, it is very on brand for them to only produce revolvers, shotguns and sniper rifles. Why would a company that only ever really gets themselves involved with Wild West type of things produce a submachine gun? It just wouldn't make any sense. So I actually like that they included this. It would make a lot more Brazilian guns if they did that, but for some of them you would just kind of question it morally, even though you could actually use them in a gameplay point. It would just not make any sense. So that's Borderlands 1. I remember jumping into this game after the Game of the Year came out a few years ago and noticing how small the changes seemingly were between each weapon manufacturer compared to Borderlands 2. Not indistinguishable by any means, but you could tell each company had a long way to go in perfecting their designs, gimmicks, and company image overall. You didn't really get to see much of each company, the manufacturers were just kind of there. And in the case of a few, they definitely ordered the hardest hitting drugs Pandora could muster up to come with the absolute insanity of weapons we would later get. Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. Now, this is where things start to get a bit bananas with the manufacturers, guys. So, guns in the first game were like pew pew bang bang. The guns in this game go fucking pow 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 pow. These are the games most people are familiar with, and it's really where guns started to get absolutely insane. And honestly, what the fuck were the manufacturers smoking? Because gimme some of that shit. The only real difference between 2 and the pre-sequel in terms of the manufacturers themselves was the introduction of laser weapons, and we famously know that Torgue fucking hates laser weapons because, and I quote, "They're made of light, which doesn't even explode like what?" So it's safe to say Torgue ain't producing them. Okay, let's stop fucking about and get onto the weapons themselves. Bandit / Scav. Large magazines, but poor stats overall. Appearance. Ramshackle construction, aka made out of nothing. Very warm colours. Good nose art like shark's teeth. And names have numerous misspellings. Bandit and Scav weapons are basically what S&S Munitions turned into, and a lot of the time they are very fucking aesthetically pleasing to look at, but you also think, how the fuck did these guys over here, these motherfuckers, how did they make something like this? I saw a comment on a YouTube video, I think it was by Eruption Fang, right, and he was talking about S&S Munitions turning into Bandit and Scav weapons, and a lot of the comments, and especially the top rated comments, said, how the fuck did Bandits make a weapon with such a high magazine capacity? Because magazines are actually one of the hardest parts of a weapon to produce, and we all know Bandits and Scavs, they are like dumbasses. How did they make the hardest part of a weapon to make and make it massive, especially on shotguns? We'll never know. DAHL. Burst fire when zoomed, high stability and low recoil. Appearance. Military style camouflage, Picatinny rails, sliding stocks and army styled naming schemes. DAHL in this game are very different from DAHL in the first game, because now they have the trait of being fully automatic when hip firing and burst fire while aiming down sights. Personally, how the fuck does this even work? How does the gun, first of all, know you're aiming down sights, and secondly, how the fuck does the gun know you're aiming down? This from a gameplay perspective is actually really cool, because when I first played the game I saw DAHL and was like, oh, this weapon's really cool, and then I went to fire it and I was like, yo bro, this weapon's like completely different. I've never seen a single game in my life do it fully automatic or semi-automatic with pistols, and then burst fire when zooming in. This was really cool to me, and in Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 1 they're both different, so seeing it in Borderlands 2 in the pre-sequel be like this is, really makes me disappointed that they changed it, because this was how my DAHL was supposed to stay, but they made it different. Why? Hyperion. Negative recoil, aka accuracy over time, and very high accuracy eventually. Appearance. Polygonal, long polygonal shapes, single horizontal stripes of strong colour like white or red, and corporate naming schemes. Hyperion are essentially exactly the same as they were in the first game, however they are more differentialized now, considering Hyperion as a main enemy has been established, and Gearbox as developers have now put more effort into actually making each manufacturer very different to each other. Hyperion are very distinguishable, and especially with guns like the Conference Call, the Interfacer, the Bitch. Yeah, the Bitch doesn't really fit their scheme. The Bitch kind of looks like if the Bandits got their hands on a Hyperion weapon, but, you know, we move. Hyperion weapons are very good and morally questionable to use, as they are the bad guys, so you are now giving money and supporting the company that's trying to kill you with their guns, but then also you're killing their own men with their own guns. So it's a lose-win situation in my eyes. Jakobs. High damage and accuracy. Hidden critical hit bonus. Semi-automatic fire with the exception of sniper rifles, and never elemental with the exception of Greed, Stinkpot the Cobra, and the Twister. Appearance. Wooden stock, mostly unpainted. Signs of wear and tear. Wild West style. Wild West slang naming scheme. Big iron out his hip. Jakobs are essentially what they are in the first game. However, this game they are different in the fact that they have one significant difference from every single other manufacturer, and no manufacturer is essentially the opposite of them. They are very Wild West style once again. However, every single one of their weapons, with the exception of a few, are completely semi-automatic. And also they have a critical hit damage bonus which doesn't appear on the weapon's stats. However, when you shoot an enemy you notice this. Once again, not really much to cover. It's Jakobs. Everyone knows Jakobs, bro. Maliwan. Always elemental and a high elemental effect chance. Appearance. Curved shape. Bright contrasting colours, Japanese mecha style components, unconventional magazine design, and poetic naming style. These are personally, apart from Vladof, my favourite type of weapons in Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. Not only do I think they are the best looking guns in all of the franchise, but also just the way that they are designed, the unconventional and weird way that they are made, just makes me fall in love with them. Also the fact that I mained Maya, and she's very good with SMGs, and it fits her style. I personally like using Maliwan. Once again, Maliwan's not really a company that many people know about until the third game came along and actually distinguished them a tiny bit, but Maliwan were basically just known for having elemental weapons up until this point and weren't established as an enemy of sorts. Tediore. It's Tediore, isn't it? Tediore. If you can't tell, I hate these guys already. You know now. Okay. Throw gun like a grenade to reload. Rocket launchers fired like rockets rapidly go off course on reload. Fast reload speed, poor stats overall with a low price. Appearance, very boxy shape, drab colours to fiberglass casing, a plastic feel, bullpup design, and stenciled brand name and hologram. Convenience store naming scheme. Tediore. Now, by this point, they had developed the throw gun at enemy go explode, gun magically appear in your hands style of weapons, but also it's really weird because in the first game they are described as this company with very cheap, reliable and lightweight guns. Now in this game they are also designed as lightweight guns, but they had like all this money to develop this really expensive and very extravagant style of reloading, which honestly is not very cheap looking. So that certifies my theory that they got a fuck ton of money during the first game and then spent half of it on hard drugs and half of it on just going fuck it, let's just make this really fucking weird reload. At this point in the franchise, Tediore now had somewhat of a brand image, like Torgue with Mr. Torgue, Maliwan having basically elemental weapons, Vladof being this very Russian, sickly type. Tediore was the brand that most people would make fun of. They were essentially run by people who were throwing their money down the drain, and this is why they became the laughingstock of the weapons manufacturers. They were run by people who were making wacky designs, and they were honestly just not working, and losing them a hell of a lot of money. But Mrs. Tediore just didn't care, and that's what was great about her character, and why I really like that they established characters more in these games. Torgue, baby! High damage and explosive fucking micro missiles instead of bullets. Appearance. Thick barrels, racing / hot rod like design patterns, brand name stickers, innuendo naming scheme with the exception to their rocket launchers that use explosion onomatopoeia. Torgue is what Torgue should be in the pre-sequel and Borderlands 2. Absolute don't give a shit, make things explode, while also having explosive projectiles that seemingly don't blow up the operator on use, which would later be changed. Now, if you've ever listened to Grandma Flexington's story, God rest your soul, she mentions that Torgue invented all of this technology on purpose. It's not just a gameplay feature that your Torgue's missiles don't explode you when you shoot them on the ground. It's an actual lore-based thing that Torgue implemented into his designs, because he realised when people were buying his weapons, they were most of the time blowing themselves up. It's great that Torgue in this game and the pre-sequel really actually made themselves stick out from the crowd, and they changed in such a great way. I use Torgue weapons on the low just because Torgue is fucking Torgue. I mean, think... Yeah! Moving swiftly on, and finally to the last manufacturer again, Vladof. High rate of fire increases as the trigger is held on spinny guns, and high recoil reduction. Appearance. Russian style, including the hammer and sickle and very shiny designs. Sniper rifle names are in Nadsat, the skeleton stocks, and a revolutionist term naming scheme. Vladof are very unique, I would say, compared to the other manufacturers in this game. Now, they're unique in the way that they are the most similar guns to what we have right now. If you pick up a Vladof weapon that isn't the Infinity Pistol or the Lead Storm, let's just ignore them. Most of them are normal. They are not about melting someone alive into a corrosive puddle or making someone's legs completely explode with projectiles. They are just bullets. There's a lot of bullets, and the bullets go very fast. And in the case of spinny barrels, very, very fast. Vladof weapons are great for people who just like to kill things in a normal way, as normal as killing can be. Vladof weapons are very conventional compared to the guns we have today. You can pick one up and kind of realistically grasp that this could be a gun you could use in the real world. Compared to Borderlands 1, Vladof is once again very distinct. One thing that I can mention about Vladof is the fact that you can never fucking get them in any elements. I'm sorry, Infinity Pistol farming. Infinity Pistol farming is a bitch, because Vladof weapons are very unlikely to drop in elemental damage. Still very possible, don't get me wrong, but unlike Maliwan, which they are essentially the opposite of, it's very rare. Vladof is that company that is basically, as I said, the opposite to Maliwan. Very conventional gun designs with most of the time non-elements, while Maliwan are always elemental and very unconventional gun designs. If you had a Vladof weapon and a Maliwan weapon, which one would you think they could actually pull off in the real world? The gun which has a magazine and is shooting bullets quite fast, or gun with spinny plate that is blue and orange and white and melts people alive? Yeah, I know which one you're going to choose, bro. So as you can probably see, Atlas did not return in Borderlands 2 due to the events in Borderlands. General Knox getting destroyed and the Atlas Corporation basically turning into rubble until the tales from the Borderlands established that as Jack buying it and then being bought up again by Reese. Yeah, Atlas aren't in this game. And as well, Eridian don't return as weapons. However, I did mention they return as relics, and they are not technically Eridian. They are E-Tech weapons, seem to be Eridian-based technology instead. Now, as you probably know, and I mentioned before, Borderlands 2 and the rest of the games going forward have a lot less types of weapons. They have just made every single weapon conglomerative. Now, I'm going to be going over which manufacturer specialises in which. Bandit and Scavs produce pistols, assault rifles, rocket launchers, shotguns and SMGs. DAHL produce pistols, assault rifles, SMGs, sniper rifles and in the pre-sequel, lasers. Hyperion produced pistols, shotguns, SMGs, sniper rifles, and in the pre-sequel, lasers. Jakobs produced pistols, assault rifles, shotguns, and sniper rifles. Maliwan produced pistols, rocket launchers, SMGs, sniper rifles, and in the pre-sequel, lasers. Tediore produced pistols, rocket launchers, shotguns, and SMGs, and in the pre-sequel, lasers. Torgue produced pistols, assault rifles, rocket launchers, and shotguns. No laser weapons, they don't even explode! Vladof produce pistols, again, every single manufacturer produces pistols, assault rifles, rocket launchers, and sniper rifles. So that's Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. These games really managed to establish each manufacturer more than in Borderlands 1, making each one distinctive, like Torgue and Vladof being basically opposite types of weapons, one being very high damage but very low fire rate in the first game, one being very high fire rate but very low damage in the first game. Now, Torgue make fucking projectiles that explode, and Vladof make a gun that go burr. So basically they're still doing the exact same thing they were doing in the first game, but Torgue are completely different. As well as Tediore having those gun technologies that have evolved. In these two games, a lot of people mentioned how each gun you pick up has a completely different playstyle. These shoot so many different things with so many different playstyles. Just playing as different manufacturers means you have to completely switch up your playstyle, especially a lot more than in Borderlands 1. Having manufacturers being established as well, like Torgue with Mr. Torgue, especially in his DLCs, and Hyperion with the main game, really makes you love and or love to hate them, and makes you think about the weapon manufacturers more than them just supplying you guns like they did in the first game. In Borderlands 3, they change it. Now let's get onto that. Borderlands 3, Borderlands 3. This game changed. It changed a lot. It changed a lot with weapon manufacturers, more than I thought they'd ever really change. In my eyes, these weapon manufacturers had been established. This was their brand, and lore-wise and gameplay-wise, how could they change? Well, Borderlands 3 surprised us with changing a hell of a lot of things about different weapons, some for good, some for bad, and some are just random what the hell moments. What the fuck, lad? So right off the bat, there's two new manufacturers coming to Borderlands 3. One's returning and one's brand new. You got Atlas and you got COV. COV essentially just being what Bandit is, but a tiny bit different, and Atlas basically being what Atlas was, but only the same by name. Let's get the fuck into them. Atlas. Weapons outside of rifles are wrist-mounted and joystick-operated. Ooh. The projectiles tend to be slow. The vast majority of weaponry possesses an alt-fire mode that involves tagging targets. The projectiles launch will home onto the marked enemies, allowing for shots to be fired over cover and around corners, and compensating for the slow bullet speeds. Also, they're always null-elemental, with a few exceptions, aka, these guys are tryhards, if you can't tell. Appearance. Uniform / dual colour scheme of red, white and black. Futuristic designs based on space vehicles and science fiction, I knew it. Fins that open up when firing, an unusual naming style based on technological code names. Now, Atlas are essentially the tryhards and the tech-based company. This is the company that returned in massive strides, making really weird looking weapons, and also weapons that are very different to any other weapon we've used in Borderlands. I can definitely say they established themselves from the competition, making guns that do some wacky shit, and a lot of the time you really need to get used to how they fire. It's a lot different from a Torgue weapon, and in my eyes, Torgue and Atlas are essentially the opposite. One of them you kind of shoot and ask questions later, and the other one you question before you even shoot what you're going to do. Atlas is a great introduction to Borderlands 3, and while I don't actually personally use these weapons, I know why people love them. They're different, and they're something that distinguishes themselves once again from the competition. COV, or Children of the Vault, draws ammunition directly from reserve ammo pool. When switched to, has a short startup time before they can be fired, like it has a motor. It risks overheating if the weapon is fired continuously for too long. There's different animations played upon overheating from different weapons, ranging from breaking off an entire barrel and replacing it to cooling it down with a water pistol. They've got relatively average stats, though not to the extent of Bandit or Scav weapons from the previous games. Appearance. A clunky build made of salvaged parts including gun parts, duct tape and bottles. Spikes and glowing accessories are seen all over, with bright colours and / or paint splatter aesthetics. Also, the names are misspelled and are cut-like. COV, in my eyes, are basically what Bandit weapons should have been, and they also introduced what Eridian weapons had, but also with the exception of the ammo consumption from the Eridian weapons. They are very homemade. They almost remind me of a lot of Fallout weapons that are laser based. They consume ammunition, but they overheat, and a lot of the time they just completely break, and also have some of the funniest animations of any. Now, COV essentially just boils down to big gun go until big gun go, oh shit, don't work, big gun have to throw, get other big gun. And then start it up with a key or use a water pistol. So small gun go and you need to get other small gun, get water, go . COV is a meme, and they have some of the most unconventional looking guns I've probably ever seen in a video game, apart from like Fallout or some bullshit like that. The designers of these guns are crackheads and they smoke too much, but damn, they smoking the good shit, I tell you that for free. DAHL. High stability with low recoil. High base accuracy. Can toggle between automatic, semi-automatic and burst fire. Most guns have two alt firing modes depending on the parts they have. Burst and semi-automatic fire feature higher zoom magnifications and increased base damage. Appearance. Military style camouflage. Modern underbarrel attachments, i.e. grips, lasers, sights, etc. And they have an army predatory animal naming scheme. DAHL, as I voiced before if you don't really know, have kind of ruined their image in my eyes. They had a really weird lore-based thing which was like, how the fuck does the gun know that you're aiming down the goddamn sights? And now they've gone for a more conventional switching it on yourself. But unfortunately in this game, it's not as distinguishable as other weapons. The only thing that's really distinguishable about DAHL is the fact that they've got multiple different sights. But honestly, they are the most boring manufacturer in this game, unfortunately. When you switch to the alt fire modes, it's really cool that you can actually change the sight, but unfortunately the alt fire modes 1 aren't forced and aren't very great. If they 1 had the same mechanics of Borderlands 2 as when you aim down sights you burst fire, It would make this gun less distinguishable from all the other brands because they haven't changed much since the other games, but also that was probably the best part of having a DAHL weapon. Say for example a pistol. A pistol's semi-automatic, but when you aim down sights it turned into burst fire, and very fast at that. In this game, the burst fire is mediocrely slow. And also, DAHL are a bad company, as we learned from the pre-sequel, so boo you DAHL, fuck you man, I never use your gun again. Hyperion! Don't worry guys, they aren't the bad guys in this one, so no moral implications again, yes. Like every other game in the franchise, Hyperion keep it consistent with low recoil and high accuracy build-up with consecutive shots. However, in Borderlands 3, we now have a different feature. Aiming down sights now deploys a front-facing shield which sometimes has extra effects. Bullet reflection, bullet absorption, either back onto the weapon or to amplify weapon damage against enemies. Appearance. Long, angular slash polygonal shapes. Single horizontal stripes of strong colour, like white, green or black. Wings that open up while firing. Motorised magazines which get bulkier the smaller the gun is, and a corporate naming scheme. Hyperion, what is there to say about Hyperion? Very consistent weapon manufacturer, and this time we don't have to feel bad about killing people with them as we are now supporting a company that's good. Yay! Hyperion in this game are a lot more distinguishable from the other games considering they now have a shield, and there's a weird lore-based thing now that Athena owns Hyperion, and that's the reason why they use shields on the weapon. Honestly, Eruption Fang puts it best. No. I actually really like Hyperion in this game, and whilst the fire rate isn't generally as high as the other guns, and I actually prefer the other recoil reduction based stats that Borderlands 2 has, Hyperion once again come out on top when it comes to accuracy, and gun go burr and becomes more burr after time. You can't argue with the straight facts. Jakobs. High damage and accuracy. Extremely high recoil. Always non-elemental, apart from some uniques and legendaries in this game. Critical hits ricochet the bullet to a nearby enemy. There's also a hidden critical hit bonus like other games. Majority are semi-automatic with high potential fire rates. Shotguns are always pump action or single shot, and sniper rifles are always bolt action. Unique prefixes that can turn assault rifles into full auto Gatlins or assault rifles / pistols into shotguns like Mashers. Appearance. High quality wood and metal parts, Wild West / rustic styled guns, and Wild West slang naming scheme. It is Jakobs, guys. What else can I say? I've said it in every single other one. Big iron on his hip, except in this game, some guns can have shotguns attached to the actual weapons, and guns can become full auto in this game, so that's really cool. Jakobs have innovated like every single other weapon manufacturer, and personally Jakobs have just done what they do best in every single game, stuck to their roots, and I absolutely applaud them for it. Respect is due, and respect is given. Buy Jakobs today, not sponsored. Maliwan. Always elemental. High elemental effect chance. Weapons often require charge time before firing. Some have no charge time, while some allow charging to increase damage. Most weapons have an alt fire button, which can switch elements or in rare cases the nature of the projectiles fired. Unique barrels that alter the gun's firing style, example laser SMG, pistols or shockwave style shotguns exist in this game now. Elemental splash damage are also on some guns. Appearance. Once again, with futuristic curved shapes and bright contrasting colours. Mecha-styled components with unconventional magazine designs and a poetic naming style. Maliwan in this game are a lot different to the other games with the guns in general, having ramp-up times and a lot of the guns having completely different ways of using themselves, like having lasers that shoot in multiple projectiles, having one laser between them, or having shotguns that deal bonus splash damage, really makes Maliwan distinguishable even more in this game, going for even more elemental or nothing type of weapon design. Maliwan once again have great, amazing, elegant looking weapons in this game, and there's not really much else you can say about them. It's Maliwan. If I tell you Maliwan, I know exactly what you think of. You think of setting someone on fire. You think of melting someone in the puddle of their own blood with corrosive. Can't say goodbye to your family if you don't exist, and you are no longer a particle, you are just green on the ground. That's what you think of when you think of Maliwan, right guys? It's not just me, right? Tediore. I'm going to be serious now. I'm going to be serious. Going to be serious. Tediore. Below average stats overall. Below average stats overall. Reloads involve throwing a firearm like a grenade to reload. All remaining ammunition in the magazine is then discarded. Thrown firearms will explode after some time or on impact with the enemy or the ground. The damage of these features is increased by how much ammunition was still in the magazine of said thrown weapon. Various reloads throw mechanisms based on parts, ranging from homing, MIRV, bouncing, firing while thrown, increased splash radius when shot, and even walking turrets. Appearance: boxy shape, drab colours to fiberglass casing, plastic feel, bullpup design, yada yada, stenciled brand name and hologram, budget-like naming scheme, pixel firing sounds as the magazine is emptied, and guns talk when thrown or very vocalised. Tediore, 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 Tediore. By this point, I think it's established that Tediore is Tediore. I mean, gun go throw, gun go boom, enemy go boom, gun appear in hands. You've heard it all here. You've heard it all everywhere. You know what Tediore is. Like every other weapon manufacturer, you know what you think when someone says Tediore. But in this game, they really distinguish themselves by having, fucking walking guns and walking guns that run about and start shooting at things. I'm convinced that Mrs. Tediore has gone completely insane. But you know, at this point, power to her. You know, do what you're gonna do. Smoke some drugs. Have whatever you like. Keep coming up with these designs. You're blowing my mind. Torgue weapons. Meow, the Torgue. Professional. High damage. Slow explosive fucking micro missiles instead of bullets. Alt fire mode in this game fires projectiles as sticky bombs. Sticky bombs gradually increase in damage as more are attached to the same target. Sticky bombs detonate on the reload after a set time or after enough has landed on the target. RIP Sticky, by the way, they got nerfed a while ago. Appearance: bulky barrels, noisy inner mechanisms, sexually suggestive / explosive naming theme, hot rod types of builds, sometimes even with engines and exhaust plastered on the gun, warhead / bomber plane based colour schemes. Torgue have executed Order 66. They have become too powerful, guys. They need to be stopped. Torgue have gone insane, and now instead of micro missiles, they also have fucking sticky bombs, like Semtexes. You know Black Ops 2, where you'd throw a Semtex cross map and it would hit someone and they'd just be dead because it would stick to them? Imagine that, but you can do it like 75 times at once. Yeah. Torgue have gone completely insane. And though Torgue sold his company for $12 on a bloody high five, his legacy still lives on within these weapons. The only thing I can say is that in this game, Grandma Flexington's lore-based explanation behind Torgue weapons now no longer exists. You'll notice if you shoot at the ground with the weapons in Borderlands 3, you will now take damage, and a sufficient amount of damage. I don't know if this is because after Torgue was fired from the corporation, they took his designs, but he took the technology that stopped the missiles from dealing damage. That's just a lore-based. Honestly, from a gameplay perspective, I have no idea why they took this out. It's really weird that your guns would now deal damage. It seems such a integral part of Torgue's brand, and that's why he got his weapon designs bought, because this type of design was so not only innovative, but also groundbreaking. Weird that they took it out, and honestly, not really an explanation in the game as to why. But Torgue is Torgue, and I will always support them no matter what they do. Even if Mr. Torgue no longer invents the weapons, he will live on in my mind as a legend. And once again, last but certainly not least, is Vladof. High rate of fire, and therefore high ammo consumption. Some barrels increase rate of fire as the trigger is held. Below average damage per shot and reload speeds, with high recoil reduction. The alt fire modes included in Borderlands 3 utilise under-barrel mounted attachments, like additional barrels, bipods, rockets, tasers, etc. Appearance: weapons styled after Russian firearms, anti-material rifles, the Tokarev, Makarov bodies, etc. Mass-produced wood/metal aesthetics, black/silver bodies, and urban/desert camouflage. Revolutionist term naming schemes with holographic ammo indicators on the side. Vladof in this game are probably my favourite weapon manufacturer to use on Moze, which is kind of fitting considering Moze uses the Iron Bear, which was developed and used by Vladof as a company. I think this is actually deliberate because Moze essentially has a skill which makes her so she can't run out of ammo, and Vladof weapons have a fuck ton of ammo and also shoot very fast. So combining one and 2, and then 3, and then 4, and they all come together to create a perfect harmony of destruction. And honestly, Vladof in this game are more fun than they've ever been in any other Borderlands game. But also in this game, they are more distinguished by their more clunky, radicalist design. While in the other games, you can actually look and kind of think these weapons could exist in real life. Borderlands 3 goes for more of a uncanny valley type of weapon, where you could kind of notice how the inspiration is taken from weapons that we've got now, like the AK-47, the AK-12, etc. But there is no way in hell any of these weapons are getting made in real life. Just looking at some of the attachments they've got, the underbarrels, switching it round, having a shotgun underneath it, you can switch round, the massive magazines, attachments coming off on the side. They basically went for all or nothing, and I absolutely love it for it. You can only respect Vladof for being a company that can go from gun that give you gun that go kurr really, really fast, to gun that give you kurr that go really, really fast, and now it's gun that just fucking looks like a weapon of mass destruction in your hands that goes fucking. So yeah, that was every weapons manufacturer in Borderlands 3. New ones getting introduced, old ones changing, some distinguishing themselves even more from the last game if that was even possible, and some distinguishing themselves less. DAHL, Tediore. Oh, sorry, I had something in my throat there. You know the drill by now. We're going to be talking about which weapons manufacturer makes which type of weapons. Now, in this game, lad, can I die? In this game, more weapons manufacturers make less weapons than they have in any other Borderlands game. So let's continue before I fuck up another word. Thank you. Atlas and COV only produce 3 pistols, assault rifles, and rocket launchers. DAHL produce pistols, assault rifles, SMGs, and sniper rifles. Hyperion as well only produce 3 in this game: shotguns, SMGs, and sniper rifles. Jakobs produce pistols, assault rifles, shotguns, and sniper rifles. Maliwan produce pistols, shotguns, SMGs, and sniper rifles as well. Tediore produce pistols, shotguns, and SMGs, 3 again like other companies. Torgue produce pistols, assault rifles, rocket launchers, and shotguns. And Vladof have pistols, assault rifles, rocket launchers, and sniper rifles. That's weird, because Hyperion, in every single other game, always produces the most, or the joint most amount of weapon types. And in this game, they produce 3. Yeah, kind of a disappointment, and I really find it weird that they don't produce pistols, because they've always produced pistols. Why would they not produce pistols now? And even from a lore perspective, pistols just don't disappear, man. Even if you just updated the design of pistols, they don't just come out of circulation. And also, Hyperion are a very greedy company. They're not as bad as they used to be because Handsome Jack's dead, but they are still a very greedy company, and pistols are by far the most common sold firearm in the worlds, planets, universe. So it's weird they don't make them. I don't really understand. So yeah, that's it. That's been Borderlands 3's weapon manufacturers, every single thing about them, what they do, which manufacturers make what, and that's the end of this video. Talking about literally every single weapons manufacturer in Borderlands, their lore, promptly, what they are, what they do, and what guns they make. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did make it to the end, I really appreciate a like and a sub. But other than that, that's just been a really weird dive into different manufacturers over the years, and it's cool seeing how they've distinguished themselves throughout the years and how they've added to each iteration of the game. Now, I know it's not actually the weapons manufacturers that do that, it's Gearbox and them innovating and things, but come on guys, it's the weapon manufacturers in the games, because they definitely exist out there somewhere. I believe that Torgue is real, okay? Don't let my fantasy be fake. Yeah, other than that guys, it has been LFX, hope you have enjoyed. Make sure to leave a comment if you did, and I will see you in the next video.